Okay, folks, you're very welcome to the DSS Coaching Masterclass series on the Locker Room Podcasts. Don't forget, you can log on to Daily Sports Science, www.dailysportscience.com. Find out all the membership information and all the resources that's available. I'm delighted today to be on a call with the one and only Shane Rice, and we're going to delve right into it. Who is Shane Rice?
Well, Alan, it's great to be here. It's great to get chatting. Like, who is Shane Rice? Well, say I've got my hand in many things. I've been probably online, let's say, the last 8-9 years, from mid-20s up until now, and my whole, let's say, career has probably chopped and changed through those 8 or 9 years. Right now, who am I? I would like to say I'm someone that's learning the coaching trade still at a young age, early 30s, even though I've been coaching probably the last 5 or 6 years, whether it's on the gym floor or whether it's on the pitch. It's kind of merged into one at the minute. But right now, I would say I'm a coach for Gaelic football teams, the tactical and the technical side of things. Then I'm also doing the S&C for tons of people around Ireland, around the world, both online and also with the teams that I'm involved with here in Dublin. So I also like to try and get my head around social media as much as I can, pushing YouTube and interviewing GA players and stuff. So some people might have seen my stuff, but I'm totally focused on the coaching side of things. That's my career, let's say.
That is Shane Rice all in one.
Yeah, and he's also he's a father as well, and he's trying to get the grips of it as well. So, and coming home from living abroad for so long and trying to get grips of settling down in Ireland as well. So I'm all go.
That's nearly harder than coaching.
Oh well, absolutely. That's a full-time job. That's not your career. That's what I love. That's the thing I love every day.
Shane, quick one for you. What led you down to the path of coaching, or what started you off coaching?
Yeah, so essentially I was in college and I was doing a business degree, and I didn't really have any main drive to be coaching on the pitch. That wasn't a goal. I was a player first and foremost. Played from a home team in Scotstown, and when I was playing for Scotstown, I was very lucky that Scotstown is probably a well-known club in Ulster, a well-known club around Ireland, that they always had the best coaching on the pitch. And as a player, I really picked their brain a lot. I was probably that person that was a player that was always asking questions at training and being that person, always looking for feedback and always asking how I could improve. And I wasn't the best player. I probably was in the top 26 in the first team. I was happy with that. But as I got older, then I moved away abroad. And after doing my business degree, I also did S&C along the side in college in Dundalk. So I jumped boat and went to Canada, Toronto, and I stayed there for three and a half years. And I was purely focused on the strength and conditioning side of things. So I worked with Gen Pop clients in Toronto. I worked with athletes. It was right downtown Toronto, one of the best gyms in Good Life Fitness across Canada. I think they have 400 gyms around Canada. And I was very lucky that I was in one of the most busiest and the most popular. And we had ice hockey players, probably, didn't really have Gaelic football players. We had basketballers, but that's where I learned my trade in the S&C business. And when I came home then from Canada, I was actually on the flight and I got a text, and I was all for going back into playing football with Scotstown, but a friend of mine within the club asked me to come on board with them as a coach in terms of the senior ladies team at the time. Now, I had never taken a coaching session. When I was in Toronto, I would have taken a session, but that was just from playing experience.
Yeah.
So I was lucky that, like I said, in the club that I was in, Scotstown, the trainings were always top quality. Like, they're way ahead of their times, game-based training, proper warm-ups, and wasn't very old school. So I was able to bring that maybe straight into the senior ladies team just from experience, but no knowledge really of no real research or no certificates or qualifications in coaching. It was from there, it was all self-taught. And then I was very lucky to win a championship as a coach with the senior ladies team. So we won the championship, and the next year after that, well, actually within that year, we were going so well in the ladies and I was really enjoying it. And men's teams in Monaghan approached me to coach, and this is all within 6 months, and I had no coaching experience. So I was just thrown in the deep end with the ladies and also another team in Monaghan. And then within a year, I'm coaching the county team, which is the Monaghan ladies team. And then I was also coaching another team in Monaghan. So every single year that I've coached over the last 5 years on the pitch, I've always had one ladies team and one men's team. And people might think, geez, you greedy fucker, you trying to get your nose into everywhere. But it's just that the LGFA and the GAA, they're so different, and your player management is so different, and the game is so different. I really enjoy just having the option of being on the pitch every night, mixing between the ladies' game and the men's game. So after the Monaghan Championship, Monaghan county team stopped, I moved up to Dublin, and I had no interest in joining the team. I was settling down. We were having a child, and then within 2 weeks, two teams then in Dublin, Parnell's in Dublin, and also Foxrock Cavatelli, which two big, well-known teams, and I couldn't say no to those teams, so jumped straight in there, and that's where I am today then with those two teams after this was second year with those. So coaching probably came at me really quick without not much real experience.
Yeah.
But then when I started, I fell in love with it, and I done all my research, read tons of books, still reading lots of books. But I think how you improve is just by making the mistakes on the pitch and getting feedback and just improving the next year and so on. So that's how I got into it. It's very, very rushed. It's only a short time. I was 27, 28 when I started. I'm only 32 now. So a lot of coaches probably don't start coaching until their playing days are over, mid-30s or whatnot.
So you've been involved obviously in sport all your life, Shane, from a young age, and you come from, I suppose, a really good club from growing up above in Scotstown. What is your earliest memories up there, or what, who influenced you would be the best question I'd say.
Yeah, like anybody else, started picking up a football under 10s. The thing with Scotstown is they were always playing at the highest level. Like I always played with top players that are playing with Scotstown now, the likes of Rory Begg and Conor McCarthy, all those lads, like I would have been the same age group with them, Shane Carey, Kieran Hughes as well, Darren's a bit older, but we played under 12s, under 14s, under 16s, minors. Like I have 3 championship medals in minors, 2 under 16s, a 14, a Division 112. Like they were always so successful right up, and we were probably the bunch of 10, 12 lads that pushed that Scotstown senior team to get over the line after not winning the senior championship for 20 years. Now, like I said, I was only a panel player, but I was around high performing players that people recognise the Scotstown team today, and even a lot of the Scotstown boys would have played for Monaghan. So I would have just got all my experience from being around all those lads, like how they look after themselves. But community games obviously is the first thing that comes into my head. Under 10s, you're playing with people that's not really in your school. So in Scotstown, there's different parishes. So you have Tadabna Parish, you have Ballinode, you have it's all Tadabna Parish, but you have different areas within Scotstown. So you have Scotstown. Scotstown's massive, and people give Scotstown stick for having such a big pick, and they do have a big, massive pick, Like Scotstown has 5 senior teams, pretty much probably like the way Crokes would in Dublin. So yeah, so they have a massive pick, and whenever I was at that age, I would always be within the Tadabna boys in the school, and then there would be the Scotstown boys in that school, Obalshani, and then there was boys in Ballinode or Knockatallon. So you have 4 different areas within Scotstown, and they would all gel together to become Scotstown under 10s, and that was really my first making friends at that age. Yeah, but we were, my age group were brilliant the whole way up, like under 8s, under 10s, under 12s. Went to Mosney, represented all that. So we represented, we were in the Ulster Minor Championship, I think 2 or 3 years in a row or something, and under 21s as well. So that team that I came through, I was just so lucky that I was surrounded by such great people and great players.
So obviously with all the success you would have had with Scotstown, like, is there anything, well, to date, obviously it's not just doesn't have to be football, but like, what is your greatest achievement to date? What is your greatest achievement?
Oh God.
Because you've done a lot, like, to be fair.
Yeah, well, like I said, like I mean, I obviously would have played all those underage. Probably when I got into senior, I was very proud that I was able to put on the Scotstown jersey for like senior league games. Although I didn't play much championship, I was very proud at that moment that my family is massively into Scotstown. Like, you know, they'd go to all the games at that time, and I was very proud to maybe give back to the likes of my parents who were able to bring me to trainings at a young age and put me into every single sport. That now I'm very proud to say that all that's paid off, because I absolutely love my job. Like, I am absolutely diehard sport. I'll watch any sport under the sun. I love being on the grass every single night. That's why I'm coaching 6 nights a week. So I'm just really happy that I was able to probably just stick at it and to make a career out of what my parents drove into me since I was 6, 7, 8. You know.
For you, Shane, you're on the pitch 6 nights a week, as you just said. For you as a coach, what makes a top class player for you?
Well, I would look at attitude. First of all, that's the first thing I would look at. Not even going into the skill set, not even going into the technical side of things or the tactical awareness. I think their attitude, how they are on time for training. Timekeeping is a big thing for me, massively. And after that, if their attitude's good, and then if they have the technical ability and understand the awareness for the tactical approach, then that's going to allow them to be a high performer. But attitude's everything first. If they don't have the attitude, forget about the rest.
Yeah, and I suppose for yourself as well, you tell me, you just said there previously that you work with, say, a ladies football team and a men's football team each year. And I know it's not every year you would change clubs, but what is your what is the first few steps that you would make as a new coach entering any team?
So I am somebody that's very routine, and it's very like, will follow steps. So the last couple of years, I've kind of created my own blueprint, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's say if I'm going into a team at the very start, I would get my head around making sure I absolutely know everyone's name. I have to make sure that I'm like, you know, shaking hands after training, hands on, building that relationship, because I can't go into the coaching if I don't have that relationship built with someone. I'm very someone that's really easy to talk to at training, come to me after training. I will ask them questions and allow them to ask me the questions to build that relationship before I can start any coaching. So I'd say for the first few weeks, in terms of the new team, I would have to build that relationship with every single player, ask them about their family, ask them about their background, have they got kids, what was their, you know, how's their situation at home, how's work, blah blah blah. So build that relationship first, and then and then when you go from there, it's kind of all falling into place, because you build that trust, and then you go down the route, obviously, of looking at the S&C side of things in pre-season, and then you start to implement different principles, and that's probably a different topic. But the first thing for me is the most important thing. If I don't skip building trust and building relationships with people, I can't do the rest.
Yeah, yeah. What's your approach on game day on the sideline in the dressing room? What way are you?
I'm a bit manic, a bit chaotic, which is normal. I tried to tone it down a bit, but that's just not my style. In terms of game day, like, I would have the exact times for the lads to meet, the exact physio times, the exact down to a T, when we're leaving the dressing room, when we're coming back in the dressing room, when the first drill is starting, when the last drill is starting, what time the team talk is starting, what time the team talk is over at. So it's all laid out for the lads, and it's just going off a time clock. You know, obviously, sometimes things might chop and change within that schedule, which is normal, and just like in training. Sorry, my connection okay? Is it all?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
kind of coming and going there. I think we have it back.
Okay, sorry. So just like on the pitch, you know, you might expect 20 lads and only 16 show up or something, and you have to chop and change. Same on game day. So
Yeah.
I'm very too much prepared nearly until the ball's thrown in, and then you don't really have much control when the ball's thrown in. Then it's very much player led.
Your sound is gone on me, Shane.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me there now?
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I'll keep the headphones off. I'm not sure.
Ah, okay, okay. I don't know. Just write this down just so I know break in between.
Um.
Edit that.
So
Yeah.
what I said there, I'm very, very, very routine and down to a T of what will happen before throw-in. After
Right.
throw-in, just player led. I can't do much after that.
Yeah. Without giving away too many secrets, sir, what does your team typically train as, or how did it train, or what's your, have you any go-to things, I suppose, on any given day for training session?
Yeah, well, uh, like I said, like I talk with principles of play there. Like we would have, well, I would have, and any team I go into, a bunch of principles that we need to adhere to achieve success.
Yeah.
So all the lads would probably need to, or the ladies would have to understand and study and learn the calls of how we're going to play, like a throw up routine, kick out routines, what we do when we go man down or man up, what we do after 10 minutes, 20 minutes, black cards, all these principles, and that would all be done on the training pitch. If that really makes any sense.
Yeah. No, it does. I
Like,
suppose.
yeah, in terms of training and stuff, I would from the outsider, if someone said to me, "What does Shane Rice's teams look like?" I
Yeah.
would like to think that they would be really fit because that's my background. Like I'm really down to a T in terms of their mass and their ASR and their top speed and GPSs, and I would hate for anybody to look at a team of mine and say that they're unfit or they're injury prone or they're slow or they're lethargic and
Yeah.
no energy. That would I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to understand that because that's what really goes into a lot of the teams that I'm with. Really energetic, and really organized, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's just from a neutral point of view if you're looking in.
What do you make, or what do you think of the state of the game at the minute, both GA and LGFA, good and bad? You're in a lot of it at the minute. You see a lot of things. Obviously, with the amount of coaching you're doing. So, what do you make of the state of the game?
Well, just to go with the LGFA, I think the big thing is the tackle rule. I think that's the one thing that people are talking about. I think the tackle rule should be the exact same as men. I think the girls want physicality, so I don't think that will be a problem in the near future. That will be resolved. Obviously the charging rule and stuff. But apart from the LGFA, I think the LGFA do a really good job in promoting the game. I think they're really good with bringing the kids to games, and the attendances are growing each year. So I think the LGFA have their house in order. Just need to clean up maybe a couple of rules. But I don't like the hooter as well. Get rid of the
Yeah.
hooter. Don't like it. I mean, you're on the attack and the hooter goes game over, and it can be tricky as well with free kicks and at the end of the hooter. So the tackle and the hooter for me. And then the men's game, I'm definitely not someone that has been looking for change. I try to look at the game incredibly tactically. I love watching Ulster games, although you watch, because I would like to think that I understand the game really well. And I
Yeah.
can understand how teams are trying to break teams down and they're really working on possession football. And I give you like obviously I'm in Dublin now, and the Dublin coaching would be quite different than the Ulster coaching,
Yeah.
where it might take a lot of look at data and stats and turnovers and possession, and the Dublin coaching is probably a lot more skill based, like long kick pass and probably a little bit like Kerry as well,
Yeah.
and exciting football. So that's something that I probably had to get used to, and maybe bringing both elements of different counties style of coaching together depending on where I am.
Um, for yourself, Shane, because, and I know I go back to it, but in such a short time frame, you probably went from as a player into a coach into obviously all this work you're doing social media and everything else that goes along with it. Is there anything, I suppose, that when you look back, and I know hindsight's a great thing, is there anything maybe you regret or you take as a learning curve?
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of things in coaching that I would have done that I would change, but it's easy to say that when you lose finals. Like you lost a championship final last year, losing finals the year before. Like I've always lost maybe big championship games or down to the small percentages, and you try to reflect as much as you can, and you would do things differently. In terms of the social media, I wouldn't change anything. I think that has been whatever you do, there's always backlash, or it'll always take you
Yeah.
where it needs to take you. I could have said maybe do more on social media, but the life gets in the way. So, no, I'm not someone that's going to reflect and get too bogged down. I can only control the now. I'm reading a great book at the minute called The Power of Now. I've really learned at the minute to only focus on the present. I can't change the past, and the only thing that's going to change the future is what I do in the now. So if I can always just focus on the present, that will look after the future. So I'm not someone that really looks back and reflects too much. I'll take a bit of reflecting and maybe try to change, let's say, the blueprint for the following year.
Yeah.
Because that blueprint will only grow each year. And eventually down the line, 10 years time, I'll have a blueprint that will maybe
Be a success.
be a built up of so many years that it's got to a stage now where I'm just really happy with it.
And speaking of, I suppose, 10 years down the line, where would you like to see Shane Rice in 5 years down the line?
5 years, oh God, I could be just doing on the pitch. On the pitch, I'm happy on the pitch. Competitive, building relationships with people, helping younger people, especially. I probably would have made a lot of mistakes in my playing days when I was younger. You know, like we all do, we get carried away, we go off track, and I just try to maybe help as much young people. I think I really have a good relationship with the younger people in each teams, because I remember I stopped really playing for those, although I played in Canada for those 25 to 28 years, and really haven't played too much since, because I've just been on the coaching side of things. But just building relationships. I'm not going to say like I want to be a county manager and win Sam Maguire. That's not
Yeah.
Look at it's all about just improving every year and keep doing what I'm doing, and I think I'll be all right.
What is the biggest differences in your opinion between coaching the ladies football and the men's football, or is there any?
Yeah, in terms of player management, absolutely. What I've learned is how you handle situations with men and women, and that's normal because men and women are different, and that's understandable. How maybe you could maybe speak to each players are different. I wouldn't say there's a difference between men and women. The game, it's players are different as well. Like I know a fella or a girl that needs a bollocking and needs a kick up the ass, whereas there's also someone else needs the arm around the shoulder and a little bit subtle and stuff. So there are the main differences in terms of player management. In the coaching game, there is big differences in terms of your principles. So your kickouts are different. It's from the hands. Your press is different. Your yellow cards are different because that's essentially a black card. And going a player down in the ladies' game is quite different than the men's game. And I would say that the coaching takes longer in the ladies' game of getting the principles, because I understand that a lot of girls, it's like men, they're different, that they have different priorities in terms of their focusing on watching the game outside. Like I know a lot of lads are just so driven, like in Up in Ulster, they eat, breathe, live football. They'll go to every game. They'll watch loads of games. Where in some ladies' teams, they're young families. They're not, let's say, getting to as many games or don't have that drive to watch as many games and maybe understand the game IQ and stuff. So I'd say the coaching and the principles maybe just take a bit longer. But there's no negatives or positives to either. They're just different.
Yeah. What kind of, I suppose, you that's after gaining a wealth of experience in the last couple of years, like what would be your advice to any coaches that are just starting off, have just got the grow up and they're only, I suppose, dipping their toes in the water? Have you anything for them? Or
Yeah, again, you just need to have, like, if you're starting in October and you're finishing hopefully in October the following year, just having that calendar or blueprint and knowing what you're doing in certain months and planning ahead. But that's everything for me. Planning, like, I could open up and know exactly what train we're doing on October the 4th. I know exactly what run we're doing. I know exactly what we need to be hitting on the GPS. I know exactly what our skills need to be like. Like understanding that the first few months is all skill focused, and then it flips then as you get closer to league, let's say, or challenge games, then you go into game based stuff. So just having a plan and not just waking up on a Thursday and you've trained that evening and just start writing down just to get through it, because I've done that in the past at the start. Oh, I trained tonight, let's take out a book. Right, right, that's done. And then, but there's no real purpose of that training that's going to carry over for in a month's time. So really just scheduling out your whole year. It doesn't have to be perfect. Things change, numbers change, the trend, you may have to change. But if the principle and the focus of that training is set in stone, well, then you'll have something to follow.
I suppose on a different thing than our coaching that we're talking at the minute. Obviously, I've done a bit of research before I asked you on, and I've seen that you've with social media, you've a huge following and so on. But I've seen that you've only recently launched your Gaelic Athletic Academy. What is that, or could you give us a bit of a brief rundown on that?
Yeah, so the Gaelic Academy, it was previously called GA Periodization. I rebranded about 6 months ago, and it's a full, because there's a lot of club players around the world, whether in Australia, whether they're in Dubai, whether in Ireland, maybe they're lower level, they're junior level, intermediate. Not every club has a strength and conditioning coach, and although S&C coaches are now nearly in every club, there is a lot of players there that don't have any S&C programming, any running programming. Maybe they have a GPS, they don't understand how to read it. So I do everything in terms of their programming every day, every week, their GPS stuff, and it's all within my own app. So people sign up on the website and they're invited into the app, and we've tons of players in that app, and it's subscription based, where they're able to cancel at any time. And then a lot of them would cancel probably in the off season at the start. Maybe let's say they lose a championship, they want to take a few weeks off and then get back out in the off season. So it's just really give everybody an opportunity to have that S&C coach in their pocket, because I know a lot of clubs don't have one, and that's okay. But I like to provide that service to give people an opportunity.
Would you say you're obsessive when it comes to coaching and, you know, being? I know you said you're with Parnell's and Foxrock, Camden, and for me as a coach, like one thing I would say is that once I'm involved in something, I'm completely absorbed by it. Would you be similar, or?
I've never took a year out in my life. I couldn't imagine it. I've it's what I think about. It's what I do every day. Before I go to bed, the last thing I think about is the train just gone by, and the next train, and the next game, and how we can do this. First thing I wake up in the morning. Super obsessive. Trying to strive for perfection, which isn't always good, but I'm okay with that. That's just me. I don't get bogged down. I don't really take, like, I don't really take much time off, really.
Do you find it hard? I know I actually laughed at this. I heard it on a podcast I was listening to a couple of months ago, where people always talk about the work-life balance. Do you ever? I always say the coach-life balance. Do you find that hard to actually get? Because when you're away from the pitch, like coaching now, it's not a case that you're do a session, leave it, and it's not how you're taught. Like, you could spend 30, 40 hours a week. Like, how do you get the balance? And my wife's saying, she'd be giving out to me, I'd be on the phone if I'm not on the pitch organizing something. So, like, how do you deal with it, especially with are you a child there as well now?
Yeah.
Difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that I'm able during the day to have the freedom, because I work for myself with the Gaelic Academy. I'm able to take, like, my hour and a half. Like, I don't miss a gym session any day. I take an hour and a half in the gym. That's probably, let's say, getting away from the coaching side of things.
Yeah.
I will spend an hour or two with the wee one in the morning, just making sure, because I'm not there when she gets to bed any night during the week, because I'm on the pitch. So just find those wee moments. But I could imagine how tough it would be for someone that maybe is in an office and they have to go straight from work, maybe home, eat the dinner, and go straight on the pitch. I'm just blessed, and I'm very lucky that I have that little bit of freedom during the day. And if I do want to take a time out, I can. But again, I enjoy the coaching. Like, the laptop's always open during the day, and I'm able to manage the stress because I have that freedom to maybe just take a wee break if I need to.
Yeah. Is there much? I know obviously you would be involved in Scotstown up in Monaghan. Is there much of a difference you're now with Parnell's in Dublin? Is there much of a difference in the style of football that both clubs would play? Say even the Ulster to Leinster side of things.
Yes,
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
there would be a difference. Yeah, I would say the Scotland has a really good free flowing football where they can mix it up. I think that's a club there that can. I think the top teams can mix it up, like the Glens, the Scotstowns, the Kilcoos. They can play a kicking game. They can play a short game. They can hold the ball for 5 minutes if they want. They have goalkeepers that can go long or short. But I would say for, let's say, the mid tables Ulster teams that maybe just have to play that little bit more cautious, have to stick to a rigid system. Between them and the teams in Dublin, Dublin would play a lot more free flowing. Like every team would have a kicking game in them. And there isn't really much. I wouldn't say there's as rigid systems in Dublin. That's from experience. Like the senior championships all start this weekend. And I would say 90% of them are going to mix it up, their systems. Whereas I'd say if you went down to the Modern Championship this weekend, you mightn't see as much free flowing kicking, and you might see a lot more men behind the ball and a lot more hand passing and stuff. I do compliment Dublin club football. There's a lot more kicking involved.
I know, say, with Dublin and with Parnells, you would have some senior, like they've had some senior elite county players playing for that club. Like, what are they? What are they like? Like, because of all the experience they have, like, is it hard for you to control someone that has won, I suppose, multiple All Irelands and being at the top of the game? And how does it work? Like, is it different?
Well, obviously, working with Stephen Cluxon, I can only improve. Every day is a learning day for me. Like we chat regularly at training, after training, before training. Great person. I'm only blessed and to be able to learn from him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't get overwhelmed over it. Obviously, there's lots of players there that have massive experience, but I just be blessed, and you can't let it really control you and get too bogged down and maybe worried about what you're saying, because why am I saying this, because he's won this many All Irelands and vice versa. But if they didn't want you, then you'd know about it. If they didn't like what you're saying, you'd know about it. So I haven't heard of that yet, so I must be doing okay.
Shane, where to next? What's next for Shane Rice?
Well, we'll get through this championship anyway. Like I said, I'd never ever.
Are you senior A in Dublin, or?
So Parnells are senior 2, so senior B.
Okay.
Yeah. Foxrock senior championship. So championship starts this weekend. There's 3 games in a group. The thing about Dublin is there's also hurling, so it skips a week, which I like, because you get that extra weekend of maybe doing training or give maybe the next Tuesday off, whereas you're not banging out games every weekend. So just get through the championship. We were very unluckily, last year losing the championship final after extra time. Hopefully now this year we can get back with a step in us and just give a good account of ourselves in Dublin. And then I never say never to anything the following year. We sit down, we review, we chat what we can improve on, I'll have to chat to the family first and things. Maybe there is going to be a year where I do take a year out after coaching since 2019 on the bounce. So we'll just have to see what happens. But first things first, get through championship.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind. I was a couple of friends of mine, they would have been heavily involved in coaching for the last couple of years, and they decided to take a break from coaching. And like, I've never seen it's nearly like, I suppose, a drug to a certain extent. Like they're going through withdrawal symptoms now as they're peaking into championship and they're not involved. For myself personally, I would find it very, very hard not to be involved in some sort of capacity. I don't know about you, or.
Well, the funny thing is, if I did take a year out, I'd probably look at getting back playing, and that's a whole different ball game again. So I couldn't imagine the evenings not being on the pitch. I'd have to be doing something like, well, I don't know. I'd have to do seminars or something. So I probably won't be taking a year off for another long time. But if I did take a year off, I'd be looking to get back playing. Maybe I'm only 32 and I feel great, so I'd maybe try and play for some junior team in Dublin or something. So I do play for Parnell's second team, which is interesting. Yeah. So we actually got promoted out of the league, and really good league season. And then the junior championship, which Parnell's second team is in, starts on Sunday morning. So I'll be obviously coaching the senior championship Saturday night and then talking out for the second team on Sunday. So again, there's 7 days a week I'm going to be on the pitch this week.
I'd say they're all happy at home, so.
Look, people think I don't like being home at all, but
I think that's every coach across the country, to be fair.
Yeah.
Shane, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much for hopping on the call today. It's always great to be able to chat to coaches around the country, and seeing, I suppose, their backgrounds, their philosophies, and how they might do things. Yet again, what I would like to say to anyone, if you're looking to look at any of our memberships or any of the resources that we have, don't forget you can log on to www.dailysportscience.com. You'll get all the information there. And other than that, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the coaching masterclass, and we will be back soon with you. Thanks, Shane.
Brilliant, Al. Thank you.